Hey everyone, Dan here. It's been a while since my last video, and not that I haven't been recording them, I just haven't had a chance to edit them and put them up. So I've got a couple more coming soon, but I wanted to go ahead and jump ahead on the line and talk about today's DC Fandom. Now, I spent a lot of time referring to it as DC Fandom prior, but then I realized there was an E at the end, which was helpful because it was part of the URL. So I was able to find it thanks to the E. It was an interesting event today. Overall, I really liked it. I just went to the webpage, fired it up, and live streamed for 8 hours, 10 hours. I don't know what it was. It was 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and I got to see movie release or movie trailers and video game previews and lots of Jim Lee. There was a lot of Jim Lee. I like Jim. I've played poker with him before. He's a nice guy. And there was a lot of Jim Lee. But he's kind of the biggest name at DC right now, so it makes sense. But let me go through the highlights. I took notes as I was watching, so I'm going to be referring to them. But, of course, they kicked it off with Gal Gadot, Patty Jenkins, Kristen Wiig, Pedro Pascal, and Chris Pine talking about Wonder Woman 84. Wonder Woman 1984, whichever it is, which looks really good. Pedro plays Maxwell Lord, Kristen Wiig plays Cheetah and Barbara Minerva, and we get to see her in the full Cheetah form for the first time. And it looks good in motion. If you do a screenshot of it, it doesn't look as good, but that's a screenshot. It's not a posed picture, so I'm going to hold judgment on that. I think the movement part of it looked really good, and I can't wait to see this. Should be a lot of fun, but they don't know the release date yet because the pandemic is still pushing everything back. So, but Patty Jenkins was very straightforward that she wants to hold it until an actual film release can be done. So that was the first panel. Then they moved on to a new video game. It's not by the guys that do the Arkham games. That's not Rocksteady. I don't remember the name of the company, but it's Gotham Knights. And you get a chance to play as either Nightwing, Red Hood, Batgirl, or Robin. I'm not sure which Robin it is. He looks like Damian Wayne, but he speaks like Tim Drake, so I don't know. But the play on it looked really good. The only problem for me is that it starts off with the death of Batman, and doing a Gotham game without Batman just seems odd to me. So I don't know. Have to see when it comes out. Might jump in on it. We'll see. All right. After that, they did a panel which I thought was, well, no. They did a panel on Sandman, talking to Neil Gaiman and stuff like that, and the new audiobooks and the upcoming TV series. So there wasn't a lot of coverage of comic book stuff. This was one of the panels that talked about the comics and the newer stuff that's come out with G. Willow Wilson. There was some other stuff later on having to do with milestone characters returning, but overall this was movie and TV stuff more than it was comic. Even though comics were the birthplace of these characters, this wasn't as much about that. So after talking about that, and I did end up downloading or buying and downloading the audiobook of Sandman, so it worked. They went on to do a panel about the multiverse, which seemed kind of strange to me. It's like, okay, you're going to, in the middle of this thing, within the first hour or so, you're going to do a panel about the multiverse. But then I realized how important it is. And they brought in Jim Lee, Greg Berlanti, and Walter Hamada. Walter does the movies. He's the producer on most of the movies. Greg Berlanti, of course, is the main guy for the Arrowverse and a lot of the DC shows. And Jim Lee is the main guy at the comics. And it's obvious what they're trying to do is to get people to accept the multiverse, the concept of the multiverse, so they could start doing stuff like how we're going to have Flashpoint as a movie. That's why they put Ezra Miller in the DC Comics, or in the CW Crisis version, so that we could get used to that idea and to understand that the movies count. So now when they come up and they have Ben Affleck come back, which they just announced to play in Flashpoint, and Michael Keaton coming back to play in Flashpoint, it'll make more sense to the fans. So they spent some time explaining that, and that was good. And I thought it was actually a really good panel. After that, they talked about the Flash movie. We didn't get much information on it, but we did get to see a new version of the suit. and it looks like they're going to go for much more organic and less of the metal that I scrapped together suit that he built. And they said it's built by Bruce Wayne, so maybe that's where Ben Affleck comes in, is that he presents him the suit. From there, they went on to the Suicide Squad, which was a hilarious panel. It was a lot of fun. They announced all the who's playing who, what's playing what. I think most of that's online. They did a little video of it, which worth checking out. Some of the interesting ones were, I think Steve Agee is playing the on-screen version of Killer Shark, and Taika Waititi is going to do the voice. They didn't say what Taika's doing, but they referred to Steve Agee as the on-screen version of Killer Shark. So Nathan Fillion is playing TDK, the detachable kid, or the arm comes off kid or something. Not a character I'm familiar with. I'm going to have to look that one up. And there's not a lot that I'm not familiar with, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, so Ratcatcher 2, Polka Dot Man, Blackguard. I mean, there's some pretty obscure characters. Peacemaker. John Cena looks absolutely ridiculous in the helmet for the Peacemaker, and it's perfect. It's exactly what he's supposed to look like. Yeah, so that looks like it was a lot of fun. James Gunn spoke very highly of everybody in it, and how he said he's having the time of his life. And he got to bring Nathan Fillion, he got to bring Michael Rooker, and he got to bring in his brother Sean, so he's happy. From there, they went on to a panel about female bosses, is what they referred to it as, is, basically badass women. Speaking to a lot of the actresses, like the new Batwoman, Candice Patton, just women of color, basically. Also, Talia Ash, Nafessa Williams. I'm not remembering all the names. Like I said, I made quick notes, but it was a cool panel. Well worth, if you can catch it online, well worth watching. There was a Legacy of Batman panel that had Jim Lee, Brendan Thewlis, who plays Nightwing, the new Batwoman. You got to remember her name, Javika Leslie. And it was a good panel, but I didn't get to watch all of it. It was one of the few ones I didn't get all of. Then we went into a performance by Chris Daughtry, who performed Waiting for Superman and then one of his newer songs. And you see behind him, he's just a DC geek, like all of us, which is awesome. There was a nice little documentary about the Joker, including interview footage from Mark Hamill, Jack Nicholson, Jared Leto, Joaquin Phoenix. So that was a nice little dive into that. Then we had Jim Lee actually review a portfolio, which I thought was pretty interesting, to have him actually go through and show the steps. Now, having reviewed portfolios myself, I know it, but I think it'll be interesting for fans who don't realize how detailed the portfolio reviews go and how they'll nitpick the hell out of something. But the more they nitpick something, it means the better artist you are. Because if you're not good, then they'll just give you general things and send you away. So, good thing to learn. From there was a great panel about the Milestone comic. Dennis Cowan and Reggie Hedlund, Jim Lee again. Like I said, Jim Lee was everywhere. But it was a really good panel, and we get to find out that not only will there be some new Milestone comics, but there's talk about a Static Shock movie. Oh, Phil LaMarr was also on the panel, who was the voice of Static Shock. So, love seeing that we're going to get maybe some Icon and Rocket and some other Milestone characters coming back. So I think that's awesome. From there, they had a panel about all the different people who have dubbed Batman's voice in all the different countries. So Spanish Batman, French Batman, Italian Batman. That was pretty interesting. Got to see the faces behind that. When we got to the Snyder Cut, which was one of the big things for today, I noticed that Zack Snyder says awesome way too much. He spent time taking questions from the people from the cast, and then he talked to some people that helped get the Snyder Cut popular. But there wasn't really a whole lot there. I mean, it was the only thing that we really got out of it was the trailer footage that you can see online, and that it's going to be released as 4 one-hour episodes. Then they'll probably release it as one big single movie so that everybody could see you can see it in one big swoop. Interesting, but it's going to be HBO Max. He also said that if you can't get HBO Max overseas, stuff like that, there's going to be a distribution way. That's pretty much what came out of it, but the footage was very cool. We got to see our first look at Darkseid. We got to see more of the stuff that he filmed. And I got to tell you, I'm very jazzed for it. I mean, to find out that there's more Cyborg story, there's more Flash story, stuff like that, I think this would be very cool. And then it ends, they play Hallelujah, the song Hallelujah, but it ends with Ben Affleck delivering a great line. So I'll let you watch it to get it because it's really good. There we went on to the Flash TV show, which talked about going into the new season, how it ended. They did not talk about Hartley Sawyer. Not surprising, but I thought it might come up. But they did talk about the attempt to do two separate stories in the season, distinct, almost like graphic novels. And, of course, having to cut it short, it didn't work out quite as well. But they give you a little hint of what's coming up. We know that Godspeed's going to be the big villain for next season. We get some hints and stuff. If you can catch that one, it's well worth it, but nothing really shocking in the panel. But it was a good panel. There was a great Black Adam teaser. It was Jim Lee and Boss Logic artwork. We got to meet the kid who's going to be playing, the kid, he's 24, but the kid who's going to play Atom Smasher. We get confirmed that it's going to be Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher, at least for the Justice Society. There may be more, but we'll have to wait to find out, but those are the ones that he confirmed. I know his name is Noah, playing Atom Smasher. I can't think of his last name right now. By the way, Dwayne Johnson is great. He gets so enthusiastic about movies, and he's so in love with doing it that he makes it infectious. So that'll be cool. They did a segment on CNN Heroes, which was cool. Nice to highlight some of the people who are doing all this hard work in the middle of a pandemic. There was a Titans panel, so we got to talk to the third season. They didn't say for sure that they're moving to HBO Max, but that's something Jim Lee had said earlier this week. We found out that Jason Todd is going to become Red Hood in the new season, and we're going to be dealing with Blackfire, Starfire's sister. So that was pretty cool. What else we got? We had a quick panel with James Wan and Patrick Wilson, and we learned that Patrick Wilson will return, so we will get more of Orm/Ocean Master in the second movie. Not much else about that. That was a pretty light panel. Patrick Wilson and him have done 5 movies together, so of course he's James Wan's Michael Rooker or Nathan Fillion, so that's cool. We went on to this is awesome, an animated Harley Quinn Q&A based on the cartoon series, and it was a bit blue, and it was great. It was well worth watching. There was a little special talking about the 80th anniversary of Wonder Woman coming up that had Linda Carter and Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins, and they released the new logo for Wonder Woman 80th anniversary. That was pretty good. Then there was a panel about Jim Lee and international artists. They went on to... Jake from State Farm kept popping up. I'm not sure why. That was really weird. There was a silly panel with Zachary Levi, Asher, can't think of his first name, but a lot of the cast of Shazam, basically talking about how they can't talk about anything. So it was a panel about not being able to say anything on a panel. Sinbad popped up. Now, if you're familiar with it online, there's a movie that's supposed to exist called Kazam, but it doesn't exist, with Sinbad as a genie. But he's never made a movie with a genie. But there are so many people out there convinced that they've seen a movie with Sinbad in it as a genie that they will basically call him a liar for saying he didn't do the movie. And it was called Kazam. So he shows up in Shazam panel and says that, well, he's going to be in this movie because it sounds close enough. And then they told us that the title of the Shazam 2 is going to be the Fury of the Gods. That was the single piece of information to come out of it, unless they were pretty much hinting that Sinbad is going to join the cast, which would be awesome. He could absolutely play Uncle Dudley or the voice of Taki Tani. Just think about that. That would be kind of fun. Okay, moving on. I put dinner in the oven. You don't care about that. They showed a video game trailer for the Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, and that is absolutely crazy. I mean, literally, that is going. It's made by Rocksteady. It's the Arkham games. It's an engine where you can play with one character and the other three are NPCs are run by the computer, or you can bring your friends in and play, and you can play as King Shark, Harley, Captain Boomerang, or Deadshot. And it looks like Captain Boomerang is the younger Captain Boomerang who also has a speed ability. But it looks absolutely crazy. And the trailer shows them taking on Superman. So find that trailer. That's a lot of fun. Okay, and... Oh, am I running through my notes? What was the other things? There was also... Seems like there was another movie. Justice League trailer. Well, no, and then the final one was The Batman. And I gotta tell you that I've been a little worried about it. I'm not that familiar with Robert Pattinson. So I've been hesitant. I don't know Matt Reeves' works that well, but I know a lot of people seem to like the stuff, so I've been holding back. Watching him being interviewed, his answers about his influences on the story made me feel a lot better, and then we saw footage. And the footage is brutal and hardcore and wonderful. I mean, I'm in. I'm ready. So let's get to 2021 already and October, and let's see this movie. I want to see what they're going to do, because at this point he's filmed like 25-30% of the movie, and I already like what I'm seeing. So let's get that to happen. All right. So that's my rundown. I don't want to go too much longer. It's already 17 minutes. So fun panel. It's still going on. If you can catch it, DCFandom.com. They're playing it all the way through 2 more times until 9:30 tomorrow morning. So you can catch it. And if you don't get it there, look on YouTube. There's copies of all the trailers they released. They're well worth looking for. The Flash, there's still shots of the Flash's new costume or concept art. There's the new Wonder Woman trailer with Cheetah. There's the footage of Black Adam. There's some really great stuff out there. It was an exciting day, and I would like to see DC keep the website, keep the format, and do this at least once a year. I know they do conventions, but not everybody can get to a convention. This was something great for the fans, that you could just sit down and spend a day watching all this stuff and just soaking it all in, and it's a treat. So I would like to see this become a regular thing for DC to promote their upcoming stuff. They need to put some more comic stuff in it. The fact that there was only the Milestone and Sandman references, that's wrong. They could have done maybe a little less of a couple things. And, did we need to talk about Aquaman 2 at this point? We could have spent a little time on the comics. Oh, there was talk about an upcoming African-American version of Batman. And the rumor has been that it's Luke Fox. But that's not mentioned today, just that there's going to be an African-American Batman. But the rumors I've been hearing is that it's Luke Fox, but it'll only be for a handful of issues. So, but that's it. Wrap it up. I will be coming back with you some more videos soon. Some that I recorded a while ago I need to post, but we'll get those up soon. Hope you're all doing well, living through the pandemic, taking care of yourselves. We'll talk soon.